Hello, I'm Karen Giannoni. We start with some breaking news this hour because in the past few minutes, the British couple who've been detained for more than 7 months in prison in Afghanistan have just arrived back in the UK. Let's show you the pictures of 80-year-old Peter Reynolds and his wife Barbie, who's 76, in the last few minutes arriving at Heathrow Airport from Qatar. Qatar, the country that played a major role in negotiating their release. Barbie Reynolds smiling broadly. The couple walked through the arrivals hall. They didn't talk to any reporters waiting there. Obviously, a lot of people waiting and hoping to hear from them, but how emotional this must be for them. Let's talk to our news correspondent, Sean Dilley. And Sean, they have been through so much, haven't they? They've been through so much, and they are, they're an amazing couple from wherever you approach this. I'll tell you a bit about their background, because their journey with Afghanistan certainly kind of started in 1970 when they got married there. Many years later, 18 years ago, around about 2007, they moved out to start a program of education for children and for women. And they've been working on that program for the past 18 years. They became Afghan citizens, very much members of the community. In 2021, you'll remember, of course, the Taliban took over. The UN forces pulled out, but despite advice from the British government not to stay, they did. They continued their mission until they were returning home on the 1st of February this year in sort of the middle of the country in Afghanistan. They were detained by authorities, and we have to remind ourselves that's the Taliban. That's problematic for any British citizen, even if they have got Afghani nationality as well, because consular services there pretty non-existent at the moment, and they've been in custody in Taliban-run jails since. And the conditions were pretty tough, weren't they? Considering an elderly couple who loved Afghanistan, the treatment was rough. Yeah, this is a really interesting story to be following, because there's slightly conflicting messages, isn't there? Because Barbie, who's 76, says that she was actually treated quite well by authorities. At the same time, we have to bear in mind that she and her husband would actually like to return to where they've come to regard to be home. But part of the reason for their release, part of the Qatari brokering on behalf of the UK with the Taliban, has been based upon medical needs. So malnutrition and anemia are the conditions that their son Jonathan says that mum Barbie had been experiencing while detained, and that dad Peter had been experiencing multiple seizures. So quite serious medical conditions, but both had been returned to, or at least taken to Doha, to Qatar in the first place. They received the medical attention and medical checkups before flying in on a commercial flight. And as you quite rightly say, the BBC were among others at Heathrow Airport earlier, their flight not impacted by the cyber attacks our colleague Ben King has been reporting on today. So they were very happy to get back onto terra firma, as it were. But the most fascinating thing about these two, lots of the reporting says elderly individuals. Again, times move, don't they? But a 76-year-old and an 80-year-old keen to get back to continue their mission that they started so many years ago. Extraordinary. They still want to go back. Sean, they still want to go back. Sean, thanks very much. Sean Dilley, our news correspondent. Well, I've been speaking to Dr. Majid Al-Ansari, who is a Qatari Foreign Ministry spokesman, and I asked him how the release came about.
Well, we've been working on this issue for about 8 months now, since the couple were arrested in Afghanistan, working with the interim authorities over there. And the first thing that we wanted to do is ascertain their health situation. And therefore, in April of last year, our officials in Kabul conducted visitation to the couple. And through working with the government, we were able to provide the needed medication, access to healthcare, and calls to their doctors and loved one to maintain their health and safety at the time. And finally, the big breakthrough happened when we were able to work with the authorities to move the couple from where they were held to a general prison in Kabul, where they were reunited, and visitation was much easier. And that led, of course, to the agreement for their release, and them coming to Doha, and of course they'll be shortly landing in London to be reunited with their loved ones.
Yes, we are expecting them to be touching down at Heathrow Airport soon. We hope to see them arrive on British soil very soon. Tell us why, do you know why the couple were held for so long in such conditions? These were people who loved Afghanistan and had worked for the Afghan people for 20 years.
You know, I was watching the interview with Barbie yesterday at Doha's airport, and it was very clear that she is someone who loves Afghanistan, loves the people of Afghanistan, and the culture. Of course, our focus was on getting them out. Our focus was on working with the authorities over there to maintain their health and safety. And we are very glad to see them now back with their loved ones.
That's Dr. Majid Al Ansari from the Qatari Foreign Ministry.